Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the final Big Chess event of 2024. This is the one that we all meet together for the World Rapid and Blitz Chess Championships while the world celebrates the holiday season. All of the NFL and NBA games have happened already. We play Rapid and Blitz Chess. The Rapid portion is 3 days. It is 13 rounds in the Open and I believe 11 in the Women's. And this edition is in New York City. This is the first ever World Rapid and Blitz Championship in the United States, ever. Earlier this year, there was the first candidates tournament ever in North America. So, it's clear that that FIDE is trying to sort of go west a bit more and more. Like there has been the World Championship in London before, but generally all of these events benefit folks like in Europe and in Eastern Europe. I mean, that's really, there's no, two ways to slice it. Like there's been tournaments in Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, etc. But now there's one in New York and it's pretty cool. It's in Wall Street and I'm there every single day. I'm working with the Take folks. I'm doing interviews on the couch there. It's pretty chill vibe. And I was live there today. So I'm going to show you a bunch of games. I'm going to show you a bunch of highlights. I might miss a few games because there are hundreds of games going on every single day. It's not so easy to cover. But we've got Magnus, we've got Hikaru, Fabiano Caruana. We have a huge matchup of Daniel Naroditsky versus Brandon Jacobson, which is a very fun matchup because Brandon Jacobson was the one banned on chess.com for cheating under that Brazilian account a long time ago. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, go look it up. Visu, VIIH_SOU. It's legendary stuff. Here we go. All right. Magnus trying to defend the title. And, well, this was early in the day. His opponent, Denis Kadric from, Denis is, I don't know why it's Montenegro now, but I think he's from Bosnia, if I'm not mistaken. E4, E5, but I could be wrong. Knight F3, Knight F6, the Petrov defense is chosen. Knight takes E4, Magnus plays the classical Petrov, and Denis plays Knight F6, which is not a popular move. I mean, most people here are taking here, but about, let's say, 1 in 6 games, Black actually retreats the knight and says, well, on my next move, I'm going to play some very easy chess, like Bishop E7, castle, put a rook on E8, and play like this. This actually is a way to play, as ridiculous as it looks. And then, here Black can play H6, but H6 is a little bit of a weakening move. And as you see from the minutes spent here on the, out of the 14 remaining in the 15-minute portion that they're playing, it's a potential weakening move. It might actually be better for Black to play Knight F6 and C6. I feel like one of the reasons that why Kadric chose this is he's big on the Philidor. He plays a lot of Philidor, plays a lot of kind of D6 setups. And in this game, he had kind of the worst imaginable position you can have against Magnus. Like under a little bit of pressure, Magnus getting the knight to F5 and really having some nice chances here. By the way, here Magnus could have played the absolutely ludicrous knight takes H6, sacrificing a knight, trying to get the pieces in. And somehow Black just isn't fast enough to develop the rest of his pieces. Magnus played this game as if he knew there was a Gotham recap at stake. Knight to E7 check, then Queen F4. He brought all his pieces forward, and then came the fireworks. So the first thing that Magnus did is he played this awesome move, Knight to G6 check. So obviously, if you take the knight, the bishop is falling, so you can't do that. Black goes here. Magnus grabs the bishop because this destabilizes the position. The pawn on D6 now is no longer protected by anything. Rook F8, Queen D6, and now Queen takes B2. And like I said, Magnus kind of had a feeling. He saw me there. I interviewed him. It was very nice. He was in good spirits, and I have a feeling he was like, how do I want to be remembered in this Gotham recap? So, in this position, Magnus Carlsen touched all of our hearts this Christmas season, and he sacrificed the rook! Rook takes E6, pawn takes, and either you can play queen takes E6 now or on the next move, but the point is you bring the pieces, all you do is grab the bishop, take, knight E4, and the queen, along with these two pieces, rather 3 pieces, is going to be to be too much to handle for Black. What's funny is Black is actually up material. 2 points of it. Because white's king is so safe and black's king is not. Black's king is very airy. It's not easy to defend yourself. Knight bd5, queen e6, it only gets worse. Like I said, if the knight goes backwards after queen e6, king h8, and knight d6, there are irresistible problems. Like, for the position, I mean, you can play queen c1, king h2, nothing helps. And I think Magnus must have seen this and was like, oh yeah, we going for that good stuff. Knight d5, queen e6, he puts the knight on d6, and Kadric is in huge trouble here. The rook is booted around, the rook has to go reposition itself. Kadric knows the game is over, so he's a gentleman and he sets up the board, you know, for the next game. I'm joking, but no, the position is losing, and he gets battered around a little bit, sacrificing this knight as well, taking, and you breathe a sigh of relief here as black, but not yet. This is a very instructive moment. He wants to check the king so that the king moves on a dark square, so that now you check the king again, and now we simply take, and Kadric resigns. Gentleman already put the rook in the corner, so he didn't have to set it up, and now he can, you know, set up all the rest of the pieces, queen, king. No, I mean, it's a fantastic game. Some of you might be looking at this going, I have no idea why he resigned. Well, first of all, Magnus is up 4 pawns, which is bad, because in chess you get 8 pawns to start, so basically black is down half of the starting pawn setup. And worse than that, you're just getting absolutely obliterated. Your king has nothing. He's no shelter at all. And this king is very safe, and it shows you why material and king safety go hand in hand in chess. I mean, this was a breathtaking, just a blistering kind of game from Magnus. Very instructive, too, because this kind of feels like a very light sacrifice. I mean, it just sort of feels like, on the surface, you know, the king is just going to the corner. But actually, this knight transfer move with knight to e4, and the queen sidesteps and the knight jumps is very, very sophisticated. The knight slides to where the queen once stood. Very nice move. All of this together, but what really makes this possible is the safety of the white king. It's very hard for us to leave the king like this. Magnus did it. Now, Hikaru played a hilarious game. I'm going to show you another Magnus game later. Don't go anywhere. That wasn't, you know, that wasn't the final one. And yeah, and after that we will, you know, we will take a look. So, yeah, Hikaru Donchenko. This was a hilarious game. So Hikaru had a very good first day. All right, he had I think he ended the day with 4 points out of 5, and remember, 13 games. It's obviously very nice. But this was a banger. So fun fact here in the Karo Khan, black can lose if black is not careful, because black can get gifted. Knight g5 followed by queen h5. So that doesn't happen, shockingly. And actually here we just get a kind of a pure main line. Hikaru playing like this. Donchenko playing a very nice idea to open up the rook. It's one of these rare cases. Taking away from the center is better. Keeps the black king safer, and the rook is open up. Usually you want to take toward the center. HG for black would have been worse, actually, in this case. And Hikaru plays an approach that's actually, I think it's quite theoretical. In fact, if I check the database, yeah, I think actually... no, maybe not like at this point, but a few moves earlier, it has been reached before. Great play from Hikaru. This is actually the perfect way to play against two bishops. Just make them suck a lot. Like, you know, the black bishop on c7 cannot do anything because the dark squares are covered. The bishop on d7 can't do anything because of the fellow pawns. Rook c8, c3. And Hikaru begins kind of the, you know, the process of converting the position. But it's not so simple. I mean, Karo Khan is a resilient opening when in the right hands, and Donchenko does a great job here. I mean, he's sort of playing with house money. Hikaru now down 2 minutes to 5, and the position has gotten nowhere. You know, and this was actually a recurring theme. A lot of the games that I'm going to show you today feature some underdog stories throughout the event. So watch this game unfold, okay? Hikaru plays, you know, all these things. Now Donchenko is in a situation where he's going to have to basically play a scramble against Hikaru. It's 2 minutes. Hikaru has like 50 seconds. And suddenly Donchenko gets kind of caught and is worse. Hikaru's pawn makes it to the end of the board. The black king is getting swarmed. The dust settles in a short while. I think here Hikaru might have had some bigger chance. But, you know, we're going to go to an endgame here. And you're about to witness something crazy. It's going to be Hikaru getting the pawn all the way down the board. And Donchenko is going to enter an endgame where he's going to be down a bishop. Right, so Donchenko gives up the piece, goes here, and now we have this endgame. So now rook and bishop versus rook is a draw. It's a draw, but you have to know how to draw it, and there are techniques to, how to make it difficult for the person that's trying to draw it. But it's a draw. Now this is move 78. So on Hikaru's next move, which is move 79, right? He's going to begin trying to win the game. Here's the thing in chess. If you don't make a capture or you don't push a pawn in 50 moves, it's a draw. That's the rule. And actually, fun fact, if you don't claim the draw, on chess.com it happens automatically. If you're playing a tournament and you don't know what the move is, because you aren't paying it, you don't have you're playing fast, the arbiter, the referee, can intervene on the 75th move. So actually, you get a little bit of more time. So, Hikaru's 79th move. Hikaru's 89th move. No progress. The way you win, you got to force the king to the edge of the board, and then there are some various checkmate nets. All right, we go further. Okay, 99 moves. By the way, some of you wondering, why is Hikaru not making a draw? He has an extra bishop. Shut up. He's obviously trying to play for a win. He's completely justified. 109 moves. 30 moves have been made. Okay, now 40 moves have been made. This is the 119th move. Hikaru actually has the king on the edge of the board, but he's not winning the game anytime soon. Rook c6. Okay, rook b2. Okay. 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 And the game is a draw, right? Wait. What? Yeah. Donchenko goes king h4. And after bishop f2 check, king h3 is mated. It's mate. It's mate. Rook h4, rook takes. And whether Donchenko is an evil genius or he completely got lucky, because I have no idea how he would have kept track of this being 50 moves, unless they have a move counter. It would be very smart if they did. Donchenko's next move would be 50 moves by both players. And Hikaru would checkmate him on the 51st move. And Donchenko doesn't have to play his move. If he plays his move, Hikaru can play on. So Donchenko paused the clock and said, with my next move, both of us have played 50 moves and nothing has happened. And it doesn't matter if it's on the 51st move. The game is a draw. You can argue if chess rules are stupid. This one's kind of hilarious, though. And the game ends in a draw. So Hikaru does not win this game, but he won plenty more. He beat Luca Moroni, from whose name I like because it has moron in it. Makes me think of myself. Actually, it's Moroni, but makes me think of myself being a moron. Yeah, Hikaru had a very nice day. You know who also had a very nice day? Volodar Murzin, who you might have never heard of. He's a Russian teenager, and he was playing Fabiano Caruana, who I also interviewed today. Fabi in good spirits. And yeah, I mean, this one we're going to go through. This was a Sveshnikov. This is a vintage Sicilian defense. Knight d5. Fabiano has played the white side of a Sveshnikov and the black side of a Sveshnikov. And in the Sveshnikov, black obviously tries to do stuff over here. And white, if possible, tries to create some attacks or put some pressure on d6. So sometimes black wants to play for an attack as well. Murzin sets up in a way. I mean, there's many ways to set up. It's one of the most theoretically dense openings in the game. And there's the attack, right? So the boys played like 20 moves without thinking. Again, if I check the database, if this position has not exactly been reached, but like as far back as, this position, there already have been games. There are many setups. Knight c2 is like the most popular. Bishop e2 is one of the setups. g3 as well is one of the setups. Queen d3, I think Castles and Fabi playing g6 instead of playing bishop to g5 straight away, which gets the bishop on this diagonal and also has some f-pawn movement. This is kind of a sideline. And yeah, Fabi, I think just his position is a little bit too slow here. Murzin plays f4, generates some nice play. And Fabi arrives on the queen side. It's obvious that he's trying to put some pressure there. But white's attack is way more forcing. I mean, f5, walking into the king's position. Fabi gets rid of the knight replaces. It's one of these moments where, like, yeah, both bishops are kind of booty buns, which is a chess way of saying they're not very good. They're booty buns. So you can get off the, if you're under the age of 13, you can go, next time to school or to your parents and you can describe something as booty buns. I'm sure they will really appreciate it. Or if you're 30, go to the office the next time that you can after the holidays and your boss talks to you about your, work assessment and puts you on PIP. And then you're like, well, that's booty buns. I mean, I'm sure they're going to get a kick out of it. Just don't tell them your third favorite chess YouTuber told you about it. Now, yeah, I mean, look, that aside, Volodar is playing inspired chess here. Fabi trying to create counterplay, but it's just not working. And he gets a great position here. And yeah, Murzin just pulls up. Rook d3, take, playing in the big apple, clearly inspiring. And I mean, the pieces are just sort of standing around and scattered, and white grabs a pawn, keeps making improvements, and knocks on the door. And there you go. Rook a1, rook a1, rook a1, king g2, and he has to be a little careful. He doesn't have a huge amount of time, but he simplifies the game down. Here, white actually is just going to try to win an endgame, and it's going to take a little bit of technique, but Murzin has the technique. Beautiful moves here. Look at the king darting in. It's a draw. You know, like, it's rapid, all right? So, like, there's going to be a little bit of drama at the end of some of these games, but he gets the win. And I almost feel like Fabi never truly thought he was holding. Murzin was drawing for a move if Fabi played bishop d4. I don't know if that's possible to find. And again, it really felt like the entire momentum of the game was with Murzin. He converts very nicely here. Black simply cannot stop both pawns. The pawn is going to f7. The king will have to play defense. And the reason why there was a resignation here is that in this position, you would jump. Pawn can't go anywhere. Black can't defend. Bishop c7, king e7. And if the bishop were to go this way, I would just push, right? I can just push. I can also play knight d7. So, yeah, Murzin wins. And Murzin tied for first after day one, beating Fabi 4.5 out of 5 for this young man. Excellent result. Definitely playing in an inspired fashion. Two funny games here. So Arjun Erigaisi, he overall had a pretty nice first day. He had 4 out of 5 at the end of the day. He played a London, and this was against Eltaj Safarli, who is a Azerbaijani grandmaster and actually a coach of one of my friends. This one was kind of a crazy game. So Eltaj gave up the dark squared bishop g6, and Arjun playing some sort of like, Arjun plays, you know, the London, but he plays the London after like 17 caffeine injections in the butt cheek, which is booty buns. Like, Arjun plays a totally different type of London. The London is like a boring and, you know, like a sophisticated, you know, like a stroll through you know, like a beautiful forest, you know, where you've got the water and you're daydreaming about your next chess game. And I do apologise, I couldn't transition fast enough into a good British accent. Well, I'm doing my best. Anyway, yeah, Arjun plays it like pound the caffeine and just go at it, you know, bishop g3 and like look, the pawns flying all over the place. Anyway, what I wanted to show you from this game was, yeah, Arjun pulled up with a massive attack, but really the beautiful story here was this. Eltaj was like, queen, I don't want to lose my queen, so I'm going to sack my queen. Kind of a nice idea, because when I take, rook b7. Yeah, but he forgot who he was playing. No, he didn't, because he was sitting right in front of him. And here Arjun Erigaisi was like, you are going to sack your queen and then win my queen back. And obviously, if I take the knight, there is this. That's very cute. Queen g7. Queen takes g7 looks like you thought the bishop was a rook. Queen g7 looks like you thought you had a bishop, all right, on q36, and you didn't. What is this move? Well, here's what this move is. Bishop h6. How about this? King f6. Bro goes here. The king is locked in a box. The knight is hanging. The queen is going to be hanging, and the rook is going to be hanging after that. Just a monster win from Arjun, who finished the day with 4 out of 5. But Safarli did something unbelievable earlier in the day to Prague. So the young stars of India taking on Eltaj Safarli. This was an unbelievable game. So this was this variation of the French where white plays in a gambit way. Here the main line is bishop c4, and then basically nobody plays g3, because if you just do the math, you're just a pawn down. But Prague, you know, playing normally, a4, bishop f1, bishop back to g2. It's a draw. But obviously, Prague doesn't play for a draw. Castles, bishop e6, and Safarli is just down a pawn. Not only is he down a pawn, black can obviously take another one, but taking this is too dangerous, as there are problems with the b pawn and the diagonal. So yeah, Eltaj plays this very obscure line, knight f6, queen back to c7, and now, you know, castles is given as a bad move because of the move knight to c4, rook e1 is played, and now bishop f5. Okay, the rook is hanging, right? You just move it up and the game goes on. Yeah, or Eltaj Safarli just, oh, I don't know, puts the rook into a bazooka and explodes it on b7? Rook b7 is like the equivalent of playing your child or younger sibling in a chess game, and they get mad you're taking all their pieces, so they pick the rook up and realize, I can throw this at the board and all the pieces will fall over, and now I take no personal responsibility for the quality of my moves. Yeah, and here, queen b7 is required when knight e5 hits this, and now black has to counter-sacrifice a rook as a defensive measure. I mean, it's like dream come true for me, but this is the wrong way to do it, and suddenly, knight c6, all of Prag's pieces are falling off the board. He grabs a rook, he plays rook e5, and this is right here, this is like a Adana kebab. All right, this is like, we got the meat, we got the veggies, you know, or maybe that's Adana, I'm not sure has that many veggies, but anyway, love my Mediterranean/Turkish food. Yeah, rook e5 is GG's, and this was an awesome game. So Safarli had some games where, you know, Arjun had to get revenge for his boy, but he also had some really nice games. I think he ended the day, he might have ended it with, yeah, he slowed down a little bit, but he was 3-0. So that was that was super cool. And I've got two more games for you. I have Brandon Jacobson, Daniel Naroditsky, and I have Denis Lazavik versus Magnus Carlsen. Now, Naroditsky-Jacobson is a fascinating matchup because some months ago, Jacobson played on chess.com. He played the Visu. He played this line where you bring out your rook, you sacrifice it, and they played like 100 games. And ultimately, and I made a video about this, and Brandon was banned for cheating. All right, now he went on Reddit, he posted about it, he told his whole story. There's kind of been no resolution. He's stayed banned. Who knows if it was, you know, again, got no idea. Like, ultimately, I have no idea what happened there. If it was cheating, it was cheating. I don't know. But let me tell you something right now that is not, you know, and so when I saw this game, and remember, right before that ban happened, he played like 150 games against Danya, which I thought was very funny. So now they have to play each other in person. And to my shock, Brandon Jacobson did not play h5 and rook h6. And I mean, if he was really a gangster, he would have, but something tells me you can't play it in rapid chess. It's just not good enough. So instead, we got an extremely boring game. A quadruple fianchetto. E6, this has all been seen before. Brandon playing queen e7, d5. And from the opening, it was just Danya making very small, subtle improvements to his position. A maneuvering game, you know, a fascinating concept here from Danya. A4, giving this up, playing this move. And when the queen moves, now he goes here to try to win the pawn back. It was a very long and sophisticated approach. He ultimately wins the pawn back. Brandon launches a counterattack on the other side of the board. But Brandon is known for time trouble. Actually, I've played him before, and he does think a lot. He actually gets low on time quite a bit. This game was no different. Suddenly 3 minutes versus 6. And although it's very tense, you know, at some point time trouble will catch you. And Naroditsky was in great form. Knight f4, very nice find from Danya, bishop f1, and yeah, here you have to give up some material. But this is, you know, they're like, the knights are dancing, the knight is here, is bishop here, you know, all this, and it's, yeah, rook e8, bishop e5, Danya is a piece up, and for now, the rivalry has been put on pause, as all the pieces were vacuumed off the board, and it was a very nice win from Danya, who is tied for first at the end of the first day. And you know, I actually spoke to Naroditsky, and I'm just going to let you all know something just very briefly. You know, Danya is in a crazy spot because over the last, like, you know, period of, I don't know, X months or weeks, he's been under attack. I mean, essentially by a former world champion who has been talking about his play. That's the sugar-coated version. And I've sort of stopped making videos about it because I'm done platforming all the nonsense. Yeah, that's my philosophy. And I spoke to Naroditsky sofa where I'm doing all the interviews if he's feeling any pressure, like he's under a microscope, and he said, I'm going to focus, I'm going to be relaxed, you know, I'm going to play chess. And it's his first ever World Rapid and Blitz Championships. So very excited. For Danya, who normally doesn't travel thousands of miles to Kazakhstan to play this tournament over the holiday season, but now it's in the States, and a very good first day for him. 4.5 out of 5, nothing to laugh at. You know who didn't have a very good day? Magnus Carlsen. Defending World Rapid Champion, I think 17 titles at this point. He had some up and down games. He had some games where they were complete chaos. He had a game against Gleb Dudin, which was crazy. It was, I'm not really covering the game here. It was a very long, hard fought battle where Dudin was +5 for a few moves and, broke through the position and it was, completely insane. He had a game against Shimanov, which was crazy. And he ended the game, he ended the day playing against Lazavik. And I will show you that game in a moment. I think I just realized by switching these games, we're going to get a rare full screen here. I don't want to spoil anything. Yeah, the interface here is a little bit goofy, so I don't want to spoil anything. Yeah, it was he's playing Denis Lazavik, who is young man from Belarus, and they played recently at this event in Oslo, and Lazavik plays an exchange Slav. Which is, which is kind of crazy, but he doesn't really play it for a draw. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if, but here's the funny thing. Everybody that played Magnus today with white played uber solid. Super solid. Magnus really struggled today to get wins with black. And Lazavik playing an exchange Slav, just trying to play hyper solid chess is quite hilarious, because now Magnus is the one that has to kind of provoke. He provokes, a game like here, even black can play bishop b4. Knight a5 is not as possible here because there is this, and now white doesn't have to repeat. He will play knight e5. But there's, the exchange Slav is one of these things. You see Magnus playing rook a7. That is what a person plays when he's trying to win. When he's trying to not allow his opponents to be too solid. And g5. And then, look at this. This is not how you play if you're trying to make a draw. This is how you're playing if you want to win the game and your opponents are kind of annoying you because they're trying to be too solid. Magnus, full steam ahead, but Lazavik is very good. Lazavik is like a fish. You're trying to catch a fish, it's slippery. He's very good at slipping and dodging and outmaneuvering, and he's very good at short, simple decisions that land him in good positions. And in this game, it was just Magnus who gave up a pawn as he was kind of trying to play for a win. He's just a clean pawn down. White's gonna go king g2 and probably meet him right on that h-file, and I'm not sure black is gonna be able to generate much of an attack. Yeah, and here's the position. Queen, knights, rooks, Magnus pawn down. So Lazavik's opening strategy, absolutely flawless, like perfect. He got exactly what he wanted. He wanted to get Magnus to provoke him into a fight, and all of a sudden there is counterplay roaring down the board. Magnus here goes king f8, but unfortunately, that does not stop anything on this side, as knight g6 is still possible, by the way. Even in this position, he could have played knight g6. But it was the point is that the queen is hanging, and then the rook behind it is hanging, but it happens on the next move. Knight g6, covered by 3 different pieces. Magnus has to sacrifice his queen, and Lazavik is not me. Maybe I wouldn't win this position against Magnus, but Lazavik is not me. He grabs a pawn, he grabs another pawn, he's not afraid of the counterplay. He's one of the best young players in the world, and there go his pawns. And Magnus Carlsen resigns because he's not going to be able to stop both pawns. He doesn't have the counterplay. Here's a nice way to lose, BC, but yeah, something tells me Lazavik wasn't going to do that. And Lazavik ends day one with a great result. He's 3.5 out of 5, but yeah, kind of insane. Magnus ends day one with 2.5 out of 5. 2.5. He drew 3 games. He won 1, the one I showed you, and he loses to Denis Lazavik. And actually, here's something completely insane. His 6th-round opponent coming up tomorrow is Brewington Hardaway, who I literally just played in a tournament. So Brewington Hardaway is still listed as an IM, even though he's a GM now, and Brewington has to play Magnus tomorrow. That is unbelievable. I mean, good luck to Brewington. What an honor. That's so exciting. After day one, of course, look, we have a massive matchup of people with 4.5. I already gave you Naroditsky, Murzin, Levan Aronian, Linier Dominguez. None of that matters. We have 8 more games to go. But Champ is down. This is his worst first day of a World Championship event. Maybe ever? Maybe in like 10 years. Crazy. I'll have more footage for you and coverage tomorrow. You know all my plugs. 5 days remaining, by the way. If you'd like to claim the lowest public launch price for the Chesley launch, it's $6.99 a month or $69.99 a year for all access. Course owners, you guys have time. Don't worry. Enjoy. Yeah, I will see you all tomorrow for another late night recap here from New York City. Get out of here.